Hello, hello everyone. It's Leslie Tagorda, your brand designer and astrologer, and we have a potpourri of information this week. A little bit of planetary energies in our business, the full moon in Scorpio, and of course the astrology for the week of May 3rd through the 9th. Oh my gosh, what a huge shift with the lunar nodes going from Capricorn and Cancer into Sagittarius and Gemini. The energy of the week has us looking at our own power and whether or not we are stepping into our power or giving it away. And if you're giving away your power, let me just tell you, it's often not at the fault of another, but because we're choosing to give it away through jealousy. So the full moon energy in Scorpio is going to help us look at our own relationship to power so we can step up in a balanced way. Today, again, we're going to be covering the planetary overview from a business perspective. So I'm just going to be going through all of the planets and how I look at it in business astrology. We're going to be going over the Scorpio full moon and your prescription for what you need to let go of in order to step into your power. And then, of course, we'll be going through the astrology highlights for the week of May 3rd through 9th. Before we dive into this episode, I could really use your help. Last week, when I asked you all to rate and review, a bunch of you stepped up, and thank you so much. Because if you found this podcast valuable, let me just reiterate that leaving a rating and a review on iTunes helps this podcast get into more listeners' ears. Or better yet, why don't you share an episode with one of your business besties, right? You can always hop on over to my free Facebook group, the Savvy Luminary, where you can get more astrological insight with almost daily prompts. And you can ask your astrology questions about your business or brand. So this week's shout out goes to Suzanne McDermott. Oh my gosh. She says, a heavenly stroke of enlightening support. I think that this podcast is genius in the most loving and gentle way. Leslie Tagorda brings exceptional astrological interpretation with laser focus, shining light on critical chart aspects that others may not notice, and applies these idiosyncrasies directly to the needs of visionaries, solo, and entrepreneurs. Listen to this podcast. Leslie will help you shine your light. Oh my gosh, Suzanne, thank you so much. That makes my heart sing. So please go ahead, go to iTunes and rate and review this podcast so that others can find it. I'd like to also invite you to a 4-day challenge that starts up on Tuesday, May 5th. I heard you ask that you want to learn how to read your own astrological chart so you can navigate your own business, right? So if you want to learn how to read your natal chart for business, please head over to thesavvyluminary.com/challenge. I'll be offering absolutely for free 3 days of mini trainings delivered directly to your inbox. And on Friday, I'll be delivering one live masterclass where I will be giving away 5 mini readings for your business to those in attendance, right? So head over to thesavvyluminary.com/challenge so you can learn how to create, direct, and navigate your business using astrology. On day 1, we'll be covering chart basics. So even if you already know how to read your chart, you might pick up new tips so you can get to know more intimately your natal chart. On day 2, I'll be going over the zodiacs. So how you can get familiar with all of your energies that need to come to the fore. Day 3, I'll be going over the houses so you can get a holistic view of your business from the perspective of astrological houses. And our masterclass on Friday, we'll be going through illuminating your brand using astrology, and I'll be covering 5 steps in how you can use astrology to up your visibility. So let's take a look at the planetary energies that we all have in our charts and how I look at it from a business perspective. This is a snippet, a preview from the challenge that is coming up, right? This is just a little bit of a potpourri to kind of give you an example of how I look at the planetary energies as they show up in our charts for our business. Each of the planets has a specific purpose in our charts. And here we're just going to be looking at the top level of how the planets act in our business. There are, of course, many other ways that we can interpret these planets because, the planets, they rule certain zodiacs, they rule certain houses, and that goes a little bit deeper than what I can give to you today, but this is going to really give you a great snapshot. The reason why knowing our planetary powers is so important, it's because when we know and value our own power, we're able to step into that power to stand up. And when we can stand up and know our power, we are certainly less likely to give away our power intentionally or.
The other symbols that you need to get familiar with in your chart are the symbols of the planets and some asteroids, as well as the lunar nodes. So the first symbol that we need to get very familiar with is our sun. The sun represents what we easily create and what we naturally radiate. Our moon sign, symbolized by this crescent moon, is our desire to heal as well as be recognized. This is kind of like the motivating why in our business. While we don't see the rising sign in our chart, you'll sometimes see this symbol and it represents the rising or the ascendant. And our rising sign shows us where we need to lead, show up authentically, and guide others. The symbol for Mercury, Mercury is the planet that represents our ability to communicate, the way that we perceive information, process information, and then communicate information. Of course, you can see how really important this is in business. This is the symbol for Venus. In traditional astrology, of course, Venus represents our attraction and our love and our relationships. And in business astrology, it's very similar. Venus is the archetype that helps us attract and connect. So if we're attracting our ideal customers or collaborative partners, you can see how Venus is very helpful. Mars, this is the symbol for Mars. And in our business, Mars shows us where we need to activate and achieve, right? Mars is a motivational planet, and we all need to act in our business. This is the symbol for Jupiter. Jupiter is a wonderful energy that expands anything it touches. So this symbol in our business looks at how we can promote our business, our brand visibility to wider reaches. And of course, it symbolizes where we need to be optimistic and grateful. Saturn is an energy that sometimes people have kind of a bad experience with, but I actually love Saturn because Saturn shows us where we need to have discipline in our business. It tells us where we need to keep focus so that we can really achieve our goals and intentions. Uranus is the symbol that shows us where we need to evolve and revolutionize, right? The most successful businesses have a placement of Uranus that really helps them do things differently. Neptune in our business is a place where we rise above and transcend. It's also a place where we can look to bring more ease and flow in our business. Chiron, while not a planet, is an asteroid. And Chiron represents where we need to heal and alchemize our wounds into gifts. There are so many beautiful things that we can learn from Chiron if we can see it as that gift-giving source. Now, the north and south nodes, these are lunar calculations. So the moon calculations of where the moon and the sun's orbits cross. And so our north node shows us where we need to move forward and stretch into our potentials. And the south node is where we can fall back on skills that we already really know, as well as get stuck in past patterns.
Okay, let's dig into this upcoming full moon in Scorpio that happens on Thursday, May 7th. It happens exactly at 6:45 a.m. Eastern, 3:45 a.m. Pacific, right? We know that Scorpio is all about trust and power. And when we think about the Scorpio moon, this is our inherent ability to feel and intuit our own trust and power. If you have a Scorpio moon natally, this is a very intuitive, I would even say psychic moon. So learn to trust that power. When the moon goes full in Scorpio, it will be reflecting the full light of the Taurus sun. This polarity of the Scorpio moon, which needs emotional trust, and the Taurus sun, which needs physical security, is highlighting the polarity between our emotional and physical security. It's shining the light really on how resources can control us or we can control our resources, both physical resources, spiritual resources, emotional resources. And what this comes down to is power, right? The power that, or the lack of power that controls us. It also shows us where we might be hoarding our power over others, right? Or allowing others to hoard their power over us through jealousy and focusing on lack, right? I know all of us can relate. So the Scorpio full moon happens at 17 degrees. So if you're looking at your astrological natal chart, you'll want to look at 17 degrees of Scorpio as well as 17 degrees of Taurus. See what house that polarity is activating. So the two houses that is activating, that's going to give you more insight as to what you need to focus on for this full moon. Remember that full moons are about letting go, whereas new moons are about setting and planting intentions. Full moons, think about them as pruning off the leaves so that more of the fruit can grow. The Scorpio full moon is really asking you to trust in your ability to manifest. Really quick, the astrology of the full moon is quite beautiful. At the time of the full moon, the sun, right, we talk about the full moon as reflecting the full light of the sun. And at that time, the sun will be in close conjunction with Mercury, just a few degrees. So if our sun is our radiating power, our creative essence, Mercury is the ability to express that radiance through words, through thoughts. And with Mercury and the Sun being close together during the time of the full moon, you are going to really be able to express your thoughts around your physical needs and desires. Not only your physical needs, the physical needs come into fore, right? Because we're talking about money issues that we talked about during the Taurus new moon, but there's always going to be some kind of emotional needs. That idea of trust and power and emotions, that's all from our emotional depths. And that is what Scorpio rules. So during the full moon with Mercury being super close to the sun, Mercury is also going to be shining its ability to express its needs of your emotional self. At the time of the full moon, the moon will also be in a harmonious flow, a trine with another watery planet, Neptune, which is in its home place of Pisces. When the Scorpio moon and the Neptune in Pisces form this beautiful trine, this is just going to give us this very spiritual, mystical, imaginative feel. So if you're looking for true transformation, spend some time in deep stillness. And of course, if you have the ability to take a bath or take a dip in the ocean or a deep lake, all the more to help you find that inner transcendence. So for this Scorpio full moon, our prescription, we need to be asking ourselves, what do we need to let go? Full moons are a time when you decide to let go. And we do this in the most loving and gentle way. We forgive and we give thanks for what is no longer needed or serving us. Oftentimes, the people that we need to forgive are most likely ourselves. I find, at least for myself, that's the person that I need to forgive the most is myself, because I'm putting all of these restraints in my own head. So for this Scorpio full moon, I want you to ask yourself these questions, and you can find these questions in the show notes for this episode, in case you don't have a chance to jot down these notes. So the questions that we want to focus on for this Scorpio full moon, for the collective, right? Are you making money decisions around fear? Sometimes we make money decisions around fear instead of money decisions around hope. And you know what happens when you make money decisions around fear. You don't make the investments that can move things forward. You hoard your money. You live in a state of lack and non-enjoyment. So ask yourself, are you making money decisions around fear? Now, there's a lot of money fear going on right now, rightfully so. I'm not disregarding that, but there's still ways that you can find abundance even when it feels like there's not much money coming in. I want to challenge you to make more money decisions around hope and optimism. Another question is, are you jealous of others that seem more successful than you? And probably this is going to look like monetary success, right? I mentioned earlier that when we are jealous of others, we are voluntarily giving our power away to those people, right? So when we look at jealousy, really take a look at what is triggering that jealousy. Because often, if you dig deeply, and Scorpio moon is about digging deeply, you will find that that trigger is something that is totally within your means to manifest. A couple more quick questions for your prescription for this Scorpio full moon. Ask yourself, have you been focusing too much on distrust, fear, or lack? Right? This is similar to making your money decisions around fear, but look at other places if you've been focusing too much on distrust. Maybe it's in relationships, maybe it's in friendships, maybe it's who knows where it could be. And have you been overpowering others or letting others overpower you? Now, this is truth, right? Maybe you have resources that you've been overpowering others with. So let's be honest and see if there is something that you can do to balance out that power and trust. There is enough resources for everyone. So if you're going to do a full moon ritual, head over to episode 5 where I cover the 6 steps to create a business ritual. Remember, full moons are about letting go, forgiveness, releasing, and of course, giving thanks. For this Scorpio full moon, here's a couple of tips. Make a list of the stories and beliefs that you are done with. Say these stories out loud to a glass or a bowl of water. Thank these stories for protecting you thus far. And then release these stories by pouring the water into the earth during the full moon phase. And of course, you are invited to a safe and inclusive community of other visionary leaders where we talk about astrology and spirituality to help our businesses. Head over to my free Facebook group, The Savvy Luminary, and join in the conversation. Until next week, talk to you later. Bye.
Mahalo for listening to this brand new podcast. If you enjoyed learning about astrology for entrepreneurs, help me spread the word by sharing this podcast with your business besties, and hop over to the Savvy Luminary for links to episode notes and our free Facebook community where you can send me questions about astrology or branding, as well as connect with other like-minded businesses.